As we start at Home Daily Bible Readings this week, we're in the Old Testament, but we're also continuing in the vein of God calls for judgment or justice. Here we are at 1 Kings 3:16 through 28. I'm not going to read the story to you. It is a story, but it gives you insight as to how wise Solomon, the king that was the king after David, was. So we have to look at Saul was king first. He was a man after the people's heart. Then we see David, who was a man after God's own heart. David was king, and then right before he died, he appointed his son Solomon king. Solomon is king, and before this lesson, which is at 1 Kings 3:16 through 28, the scripture tells us all about Solomon and what Solomon had done for the Lord. And the Lord basically, or God basically tells Solomon, says, hey, Solomon, ask anything you want and I will give it to you. And Solomon reminds God that he has been gracious and wonderful to his father. And so he's not going to ask for riches, and he's not going to ask for a whole lot of things. But what he wanted to do was to rightly divide between the concerns of the people. And God said, for this, you could have asked for long life. You didn't. You could have asked for riches. You didn't. You could have asked for anything, but you asked how to deal with the people. And that's a message all in itself, but that's not what this Home Daily Bible reading is about. So God says, because you haven't done all of those things, I'm going to grant you wisdom, and I'm going to grant you riches, and I'm going to grant you fame like there never was seen. So kind of to prove what God is saying, when the verses start in verse 16, chapter 3, here is that story. So two women have come to Solomon with this issue. They say to King Solomon, they're prostitutes and they're living in the same house and there's nobody in the house but them. They're both pregnant. They both had babies. In the middle of the night, one lady's baby dies because she rolled over on him. He was sleeping in the bed with her. She gets up, she gets the other baby, the live baby, and takes it to her bed and takes the dead baby and puts it in the bed with the woman whose live baby it was. So when the woman wakes up in the morning, the dead baby is in her arms and she knows that that's not her baby. And so she says she wants her baby back. But the other lady says, oh no, this is my baby, I want it. So King Solomon has to decide who to give the baby to. But God gives him wisdom. And God's wisdom is that Solomon called for a sword. And Solomon says, I want you to cut the baby in half, and it gets better. He says, I want you to cut the baby in half. When you cut the baby in half, then both of them can now have a baby, and we'll be done with it. The woman whose baby it was, Solomon knows this because she says, no. Just let the baby live. She can have the baby. Let her raise the baby. Solomon then knows that this lady actually is the mother of this baby, because no parent wants their child to be cut in half, and especially in front of them, because theirs has died. So the living woman says to the king, oh my lord, give her the living child and don't kill it. But the other said, it doesn't matter. Let it be neither mine nor thine, but go ahead and divide it. She had already lost her baby. Then the king answered and said unto her, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. Now, because of this wisdom, Solomon is now credited with being respected and being revered and being honored because of the wisdom, the thing that he asked from God. This is Home Daily Bible Reading, 1 Kings 3:16 through 28.